Couple more tips I would give someone is to pack your patience, man. If you have a stool, carry it with you. I forgot mine. It is sitting in the car. I'm usually lacking on patience. I'm a go, 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 push, push, push type of person. So sometimes this helps me to relax, but I still have a hard time with it and I get bored easy. This is Sepulveda Basin Wildlife Reserve. There's a lot of photographers that come out here just because the wildlife is so plentiful, birds all over the place. Today, if you look back here, I have my Nikon D850 and I have my 500mm f4 prime on there. I'm still working with that, trying to find the sweet spots for it. So far, my favorite lens for birding is my 300 prime. It's an old one. And it's a 2.8. That is my favorite one. It just nails focus every time. But this one, sorry, I'm looking at the birds and the people coming up this way. Little dog's chasing the birds. And just again, my settings that seem to work for me for most lenses when I'm out birding is an auto ISO. I'm in manual mode with an auto ISO. I set the exposure compensation usually to about a -7 or a -1.7. And control my shutter speed. I try and keep it up real high. Little dog's coming up. Hi, puppies. All kinds of flying things around here. Anyway, so I try and keep my shutter speed up real high because birds in flight, if you don't have a high shutter speed, they're going to be blurry. The f-stop, I try and keep my aperture in between 5.6 and maybe an 8. Today I'm on 8 and I'm going to try that for a while. But I watch the meter that's in the center of, since I use a DSLR, not a mirrorless, D850 is a DSLR, there's a light meter that's right in the middle. And with my exposure compensation that only works when you're in one of the auto modes, auto ISO, I keep it so that it's right about the middle. If it's over that, it's a little overexposed. If it's under that, it's underexposed. As a general rule, that's not the do-all and end-all. Let's take some photos and see what we have. And then I'm going to show you not only photos from today, but also when James and I were out, I think it was last weekend before, we went to both Malibu Lagoon, and I was using the D850, and then we went to King Gillette Ranch, and on that one I was using the D800 with this lens. Again, I'm still trying to get used to it. Lots of photographers out here. There's someone in the bushes over there too. And there was, way up on that, is some bird of prey. The reason I switched to a 500, or that I'm trying the 500, yeah, I bought it, but that doesn't mean that I'll keep it or that it won't sit in a closet. The reason is when you're out birding, you rarely get really close to the birds. They're so far away. Like in these two photos here, and that was shot with a 300. So sometimes you want more reach, which is why the Tamron 150 to 600 is an awesome lens. It's affordable. It's only, let's say, maybe 1100, 1200 new US, and it's a fantastic lens. The light has to be right because it's not a very fast lens, but for birding, you're rarely shooting at an f4 or or 2.8 unless it's really dark and you're trying to get the light. But then your focal distance is so shallow that you kind of, some of your bird that you might get in flight, is going to be out of focus because of that shallow distance. One thing I like about setting it in auto and just watching that light meter is with the D800, at 64 being your base, it goes down to there. So I'm trying to keep it between the 64 and say like 200, 300. Right in there is where I try and keep it based on either my shutter speed or my aperture. And to me, the hardest thing is a bird in flight. So for that, I switch from single point to the 9. It's on Nikon, it's a little tiny square. F8, 5.6, those are my two favorite places to be, maybe an F6 sometimes. And then this gimbal head is really, really nice because this lens is so heavy. The Tamron is really light, you can handhold that all day. The 300 is also relatively light and I can handhold that. This gets heavy after about 10 minutes. So the gimbal head for me is the only way. And you're limited. You can't necessarily pull it off real quick and focus over here. It's stuck on that gimbal head, so make sure you're kind of loose and ready to swivel. Lots of flying things though. And no, to me, again, that's just to me. Hardest things is the flying birds. One other thing I really personally use, I like, is back button focus. I use both, but my favorite is back button, and I use that about 99% of the time. If you're not familiar with it, look it up. It just works for me. I think James prefers the other. So many times when a zoom is the way to go. That the egret is sitting right there, but with 500 millimeters, even with me back here, I'm too close. I can't get the whole body in. A couple more tips. I think of them as I'm shooting. Butt shots are easy. Those are easy with the birds. Plan your background. If you can't always, like here, this is a really industrial area. We got an airplane over there. We have freeways and all kinds of things. But a really great bird shot is with something green behind it or some other water, whatever. You really don't want other people in cars unless that's what you're going for. That's different. But that's just my opinion. He's perfect light right now. Another tip that I can give you, think about your focal spot. I keep mine up most of the time towards the center, but up as high as it'll go, because if that's my focal spot, most of the time I will get the rest of the bird. If I keep it in the center, I tend to cut the bottom of the bird off, and I'm not crazy about that, so I started keeping it a long time ago up more towards the top. But you can also move it side to side to get the rest of the bird in frame. Just another little tip. One other last tip. I don't know if it's the last one, but as I think of them, I'll give them to you. Throughout the course of a day like this, I might shoot 800, 1,000 photos, and I will sit there and I shoot, with this camera, I shoot in both JPEG and RAW. And I'll go through the JPEGs real quick, and if they look good, I put them in a separate folder. And what doesn't look good, it's out of focus, I just don't like the framing, I just delete it. So out of those, let's say I shot 800 photos today, I might pick 100 that I'm gonna develop. And as I start developing, I start deleting, and I end up with about 20. How many great shots do you need? One. or 0, as long as you have fun. Don't forget to always have fun. You're creating it's supposed to be fun. And if somebody ever tells you, hey, this is the way to do it, no. It's your artwork. You do it the way you want to do it. Don't let anybody tell you this is the way to do it. There is no way to do it. I'm just giving you tips of what works for me. And there are others that are going to tell you, well, do it this way. Just develop your own technique. Just trial and error. Have fun. Practice. That heron's still sitting right there. I'm sorry, that egret is still sitting right there. Another thing to think about, where's the sun in relation to where you're shooting? In my case, for this place, the mornings, I like it. The sun is behind us, so everything out this way is being lit really, really nicely. As the day starts going up, the light gets harsher and harsher. You can get it from an angle. If you're getting it backlit and you're in the shadows, those are nice artistic photos as well, but remember, it's your artwork. Shoot it the way you want. All the vultures that were in the tree are now taking off, and they're going to go fly. There's a freeway or highway that runs that way. You got a major road that runs that way. You got a regional airport. It's loud here, but they tend to fly over that, and it's really cool. Anyway, so with all that, man, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Remember, there is no perfect lens. There is no perfect camera. People email and say, well, what about this? It's all a great setup. It kind of depends on your budget too. The more advanced the lens, the less forgiving it is. This 500, there's no wiggle room. The Tamron, much more wiggle room, plus I really do like the zoom. The 300 that I have though, it doesn't matter where I point it, it's always spot on focus. The torque is so much that you can feel that glass moving. That is a very forgiving lens. And I end up with, out of the 800 that I shot, probably about 780 of them that are absolutely spot on perfect. Oh well. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. You have a fantastic day. JonnyPink doesn't say it today, but JonnyPink. We'll see you guys out on the road. The reason I say that is I'm planning on riding soon too. We'll see ya.
Walked away.
I ran into James and we switched lenses. So my last shot that I'm going to show you guys is with the Tamron 150 to 600. This is the version 1, and James is now shooting with the 500 f4. You got 3 things to lock.
That.
There you go.
I just wanted to lock that.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no worries. I think I got it.
Remember, you don't have VR on that, so you can't.
Stop the wind shake.